Hello and welcome to Run It Back on the Raptors Republic Network. I'm Zulfi Shake here, joined by Coty Wiles. No Kyle Ryan this week. Again, one day it will happen, the magical reunion of the three of us. But until then, Coty and I are holding it down for you this week. Coty, my friend, how have you been?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My mic might be a little muffled. I'm sorry. I'm in Saskatchewan in the great province, in the prairies. I'm doing good. Back. I'm excited to be back. It's been a couple weeks since I've been on, and
Yeah.
is it just part of the intro now for you, where you're just like, yeah, one day, all three of us will. I don't know the last time it happened, but
It's more of a bit now, I think, at this point. We're just purposely cutting one of us off. But no, actually, we would all love to be back together, of course, but it is what it is. We're all busy. We have other jobs. We have lives. We can't always find the time to do this together, but we do always want to bring everyone our content and our thoughts and analysis on things. And Coty, it's been a pretty interesting time for the Raptors. A couple games into Summer League at the time of recording. 2 games have happened when this comes out on YouTube and other platforms. The third game against the Denver Nuggets will have happened. Hopefully another Raptors win and hopefully they stay undefeated. But we're going to give our thoughts on the first couple games of Summer League, some individual players that have stood out to us one way or another. And then also there was a couple interesting tidbits on Brandon Ingram, some stuff he talked about and what's going on with this situation. So we'll also provide our thoughts on that. But before we get into it, like always, please be sure to like this video. Leave a comment down below what you've thought of the Raptors at Summer League so far, and make sure you subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel so this continues to grow, reaches more people. We're always trying to get as many people and build this community as possible, as I love to say. But Coty, let's run it back as we do here, and starting with the Las Vegas Summer League. It's very much underway. Like I mentioned, the Raptors are undefeated at the time of recording. They're 2-0. They're actually leading Summer League right now with a 23.5-point differential. I think you noted that online as well. So it's been a good couple games. Their next games that they have left, like I mentioned, is against the Nuggets next. And their last, I guess you can say, before the knockout stage, round robin, whatever you want to call it, would be against the Warriors. And then if they advanced, it looks like they have a good chance to. Then we'll see who they play after that. But until this point, the first couple games, what have you made of the Vegas Raptors, Coty?
man, it's been fun. Like, who knew defense could be so fun to watch? Like, honestly, like they are defending their, what's off, getting out in transition. Like, it's been really fun, and it's almost hard as like as we're trying to analyze it, because there's so many players who are going to be on this team moving forward, where we're all trying to analyze and take a look at. And then you have players like AJ Lawson, who's probably been the best player, at least offensively, for the team. And it's like, oh, now I gotta dive into this guy and whatnot. Even though, hey, I've done some work on AJ Lawson. You can go find that
Yep.
on the channel. I track a whole bunch of stats for him with the 905, and he's been really good. But yeah, it's been super fun, man. And hey, they got a shot at this thing, like you mentioned, undefeated, leading in point differential. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, that's how they break the ties. That's the first stage of breaking a tie. Don't ask me what the next one is. I think it's like head to head or something. But yeah, and they're going up against the Nuggets, who haven't won yet, and then the Warriors, as of right now, are 1-1. So that's a combined record of 1-3. As long as the Raptors don't lose, I think the playoff berth is like looking pretty likely. And it's fun, man. Going in, I think we all had the expectation like this team should be really good, and they should defend really well, and they've done that. So it's been fun.
Yeah, like I think I'm with you. It's been so evident so far that like defense has just been the catalyst for everything. I think coming in, we all knew that was going to be this roster when you're looking at it. I mentioned it in that early breakdown video I did of the roster that like defensively they should be very sound. But I've also really enjoyed the fact that like it's not just been the effort that's been consistent. They've also just been so accountable to each other. Like I think
Yeah,
other people have mentioned as well, like Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed, when people are getting mixed up on switches or being in no man's land, they are calling each other out. They are just so motivated to play defensively, and it's been so evident in how much it's allowed them to succeed. And that's with, again, they haven't been perfect, right? Like they had a really, really good game against the Chicago Bulls, but a lot of that came from that 1 second quarter where they just whooped them, forced, I don't even know how many turnovers, it was 11 or something. They won the quarter
yeah.
27-9. That game against the Magic, very wire to wire back and forth. So it hasn't been all like sunshine and rainbows. They've had to work for some of these like moments, but it's been led by them defensively. It's turning defense into offense. if you haven't seen it, S had that interview with Colin Murray-Boyles for the NBA Daily, like for the Athletic, and in that, CMB said that like it's about turning defense to offense, using defense as an engine, right? And if this team can continue to do that, I think that's what's going to lead to success. Like you talked about just how like up and down the roster they've been really effective. Like the numbers are kind of bonkers so far, right? Like 2 games, 63 turnovers, 84 points off those turnovers. Quick math for you, that's 41% of their points off of turnovers so far that have happened. 51 points in transition. Like these guys are running off this, getting easy offense. Like it's just been so evident that's their style of play. And I think the question that I guess I'll throw to you off of that, Coty, is like, how much of that do you really see translating to an NBA context, or like how optimistic are you about it? Because like you see everyone talking about the defense and being like, oh, this is awesome. But then you have people like, again, in the Raptors public comments or in the general like NBA landscape being like, well, it's summer league. Let's chill out a little bit, which can be fair, but also like, do you think that this is legit and this will happen? Because you said it yourself, a lot of these guys will be playing on the NBA roster most likely.
Yeah, and I think we saw it at the end of last year, right? Like I think we saw glimpses, and they were putting together really strong defensive stretches. Like what was it? They were the top 5 team defensively for the last for the back half of the season.
Yeah. They were
Something.
second post All-Star break, and like for the last 50 games, I think they were like top 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, I mean, we've seen it. I get it. It was like a weaker schedule for Toronto, and a lot of teams that were playing maybe didn't necessarily want to win, but the foundation's there, and they've done that. And I think Brandon Ingram touched on it as well, like that day. The identity is there, and we'll see how effective it is. Obviously, none of these guys shouldn't be starters next year, barring any trade. But uh, I think it's translatable. I mean, because we've seen it at the back half of last year. We're now seeing it tenfold in summer league. Like they're dominating defensively. Like it's crazy, and you could see how they've really just assembled all of this point of attack defense, all of this length, all of this switchability, all of this like versatility, some rim protection there as well. Like this team is really fun, and I think when you throw that into the NBA with all the starters who can also defend as well, like Scotty and Jakob, that's a great front court defensive pairing. We'll see about the other starters and how they are defensively, but I think you can mix and match some of these guys into lineups and bench lineups where it's going to come through enough.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm with you. It's that you ask yourself this question about scalability, like how is it going to work against NBA teams? And for the people questioning that, there is validity to it, right? Like if you look at the Raptors, like ball pressure style or MIG defense, whatever you want to call it, last year, like it did have some success in creating turnovers, but there was also a lot of mistakes, right? Especially from a young team. The Raptors led the NBA in fouls. They just very much constantly got stuck in those situations. And especially when you don't have that backline rim protection all the time, it's like when you have a guy like Scotty who has to be defending at the point of attack and wing more and you lose his backline help, well, that creates a bit of holes and gaps. And a Jakob Poeltl can only do so much, right? Like there is going to be some question marks about that. But generally speaking, these guys are going to earn their minutes by doing exactly what they're doing here at Summer League. You're not talking about offensively with the ball in their hands, table setting, or self-creating. It's like defensively, those are the same principles, those are the same schemes, the same things you're going to be asked to do at the NBA level. Yes, against markedly better players in some cases, but for the most part, you are going to be second unit guys going up against second unit players in most contexts. So I think in that sense, like you're not being asked to do very much different when you are put into NBA situations. So for that reason, like I'm positive on it. I think it can translate because it comes down to effort. It comes down to smart decision making. And it's going to be a question of like, can they do it without fouling? You've seen it in Summer League. Obviously, it's different. You're allowed 10 fouls per 10. I think CMB had like 8. 2 other guys had like 5. So like that is a question mark by all means. But if they can get that part under control, I think the actual scalability of their defense to the NBA should be manageable.
Yeah, I agree. Like Shed's had his fouling issues last season as well. Yeah, and like if anything, you're gonna have better players next to you, right? So
yeah,
like imagine with some of these guys next to a Scotty and a Yaka behind you, right? So I think it's translatable. It's just of course it's summer league and whatnot, but these guys are dominating, dude. Like they're dominating on defense right now, and we've seen it last year as well. And every rookie has had their moment of doing something positive last season. So I think it's translatable. I think the defensive talent will be there. obviously we just got to see it play out. But yeah, I think obviously I don't think any of these. I don't know if. Okay, let's see the starters of this summer league. Like, will they all ever be on the court at the same time this next season? I'm not sure, but it's. I think mixing and matching, like I said, like it should shine through, and I trust Darko enough to find those right combinations. And I mean, hey man, there's like lots of roster battles going on. It's like iron
Yeah.
sharpens iron. Like it's going to be interesting to see who really shakes out. Like some of these guys aren't going to be in the rotation. Like as much as I love Elijah Martin, it just might not be. He's going to have to really work to carve a role out to get minutes on the team. Like even someone like a Jamison Battle, like I don't even know how much run he's actually going to get personally, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, camp is going to be a very interesting time for this team, right? Like, if anything, like if you're a Darko and this front office, you're just happy that these guys are going to be in camp, making the starters, making the rotation guys work a lot. But like you said, it would have to be something incredibly drastic from them in terms of like just showing the team for them to usurp some of these players, for Elijah Martin to get into his rotation, for Jamison Battle to usurp a guy like, let's say, Ochai Abaji or what have you. Like, it's going to take a lot for that to happen. But it's not to say it can't. Like, you've seen it before with a lot of guys. This team has kind of set it up where they're having that healthy competition. And so far, it's paid dividends overall. I'm with you. I think, again, the defense is going to be the catalyst for everything. It's going to be interesting to see how much of it translates. And that's kind of what you want on the margin. I think this team has made it clear, right? Like this team has said we're going to bring in versatile, switchy defenders and raise the floor of this roster. I think that's the big thing. Like at the ceiling, it's very I don't want to say it's very high right now, but you're paying the ceiling of this roster like it's going to be a very high competitive team, and you want them to take care of a lot of the offensive burden, a lot of the load that way. And they're like, well, the guys around them are going to have to take care of the other things. And if they can do that and lighten the burden for a Brandon Ingram, who's going to have to do so much of the self-creation and pull-up shooting, lighten the load defensively for a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, who's going to do a lot of the spacing and volume three-point shooting and movement stuff, right? Like, how are we going to get that to happen? Well, we're going to do that by bringing in guys around them to insulate them and raise the floor of this roster. And you're going to do that through healthy competition, through good defensive principles and stuff like that. So in that regard, I think they're all trending in a very positive direction overall. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I'm excited to see who comes out of camp from the situation. But Coty, like you said, this is becoming a situation where there's so many different players that you're looking at. You're like, this guy's had a couple awesome moments. This guy's been good here. Like, which one do you want to focus on? Like, it's become difficult almost trying to cover it all. But like, just to simplify that, I wanted to focus a bit on like the year two guys, but I'm going to let you take it in any direction you want here. Like, who has really stood out to you? And we can go through a couple names. I'm sure there are a couple.
Yeah, I just want to start with Jacoby just because I want to talk to him. He's almost, I don't know if he stood out in like a bad way. Okay, here's what I think with Jacoby so far. It's he has a nice baseline to his game. Like we saw that last year, and we're seeing it now. Like his defensively is where he's been better than people have expected, and I just want him to shoot it better, man. Like he missed so many open shots last year, and he's missing them again this year. At least it's early, but it's just what we've seen so far. And then obviously the self creation with the ball in his hand hasn't been what people would have expected or what I would have wanted out of him. Obviously, seeing a step up with the ball in his hands and being able to create his own shot and have a little boogie would be ideal, but he's been aggressive. It's just what sort of level is he going to get to as a player? If we're looking at big picture, like I know they were the fellows were touching on it down in Las Vegas. It's like if he has the baseline to be like a solid rotation piece, but like the more he can do with the ball in his hands, and if the shot's going to be more efficient and be knocked down, that's when you become the perfect like two guard in today's NBA, right? So, what have you thought about Jacoby? Because he was, I wrote it in my preview. He had all the makings to be the leading scorer of this team, to be the offensive engine, to be the go-to guy, the pull-up guy, and it really hasn't felt that way to me.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of that sentiment in the sense that like what you're seeing from like AJ Lawson is what you wanted Jacoby to be. Like he is taking smart shots. He is not kind of like you want to see that self-creation and stuff, but you know Jacoby has it. It's like, can you get baskets in an easier way? Because that's in the NBA level, at least right now, that is a bit of what you're going to be asked to do. So like being hyper efficient like AJ Lawson and being able to get your baskets that way. And that doesn't necessarily happen. The main thing I've enjoyed about Jacoby is the fact that, like you said, he's comfortable with contact. How he put on 12 pounds of muscle and what have you, and how that's helped him finishing a little bit better. In the first game against the Bulls, you did see it. He had a couple of very tough finishes through contact, and that was generally positive. And I do like that. But yeah, like the self-creation stuff is interesting, but like really, how much are you going to get to leverage that at the NBA level? And also, it hasn't really been to the point where it's popped where you're like, oh, Jacoby is like a step above a lot of these guys. I think coming in for a lot of the year two guys, I was really hoping to see a sense of dominance, especially with all the chemistry that they had together last year and playing together. You've seen it in glimpses, you've seen moments of it, but I don't think the year two crop specifically has really popped or stood out in that regard. Again, a guy like AJ Lawson has really just been a step above altogether. He's a guy where you look at it and you're like, this summer league's too easy for him. And that hasn't necessarily happened for a guy like Jacoby Walter, and you thought that you were hoping it would. So I think there's still some room there for him. But I'm also I don't say happy with it in a sense, but like when these guys dominate the first couple of games, there's always that risk of like they're just gonna get pulled from the rest of the games and you're not gonna see them anymore. Like you see that with some guys nowadays. So the fact that they're still going through a bit of growing pains, I'm more optimistic that you get to see them for the rest of summer league. So hopefully we get a bit more Kobe Walter. But I think coming in, go ahead.
Just like if you're just looking at the base numbers, like 37% from the field, 30% from three, with I believe it's 7 turnovers through 2 games. Like it's not ideal. And I mean, AJ Lawson should be doing this. He's, I believe, 4 years older than Jacoby and 3 years older than Grady, or 3 years older than Jacoby. And he's turning 25. I think he turned 25 today, or he's turning 25.
You're right. He's very close.
So he should be doing this, to be honest. And what he's doing a lot is what we saw with the 905. Like he just super quick, just athletically a step above a lot of the people. What's really impressed me more, and I guess we're just talking about AJ Lawson now. What's been most impressive to me, and the most shocking thing to me, has been his point of attack defense. Like with the 905, he was a bit of a turnstile on defense. Like obviously he has that thinner frame. He was getting even for his speed, he was getting blown by, and then when he was in solid position, he was just getting blown through because he just doesn't really have that strength yet. But I mean, he's been pesky. Like I don't know if people are starting to rub off on him, or if some of the great defenders in the team have been telling him a couple things, but he's been pesky defensively. And if he can do that, be more efficient, and like maybe not as be like totally over aggressive, because he gets the ball and he's either shooting it or he's driving, which is like there's a balance there. Like you love that, right? Like you don't need to have like plays run for you. You just put the ball in the bucket when you get the ball. But I think like if he can figure out the defense to be more consistent on that end, be more efficient offensively, and maybe manage the over aggressiveness, and then continue to like shoot the way he has been, like that's an NBA player, man.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are coming to in terms of conclusions. Like whether it's with the Raptors or a different team, you do feel like AJ Lawson warrants NBA minutes to some capacity, whether it's a deep bench guy, maybe depending on the team context, it could be a rotation player on a team that's maybe less competitive, for lack of a better term. But with like AJ, it's interesting that you mentioned how like, yes, with the 905, he was a bit of a turnstile on defense, especially because of his frame. I do think that has played a part in him being a bit more effective here. Like, I don't have the numbers in terms of how much weight he's gained or how much more muscle he has. To me, at least, he looks a bit more filled out or a bit stronger. And I think some people have mentioned that as well. So that, I think, has made a difference. I also think he's just been a bit more opportunistic defensively, especially like digging his hands in on drives and kind of helping as a defender a bit more, which I didn't really see a lot of with the 905. Like against the Magic, I wrote about it in my recap, where there was the play that more or less sealed the game is like he came in as a help defender on the nail, got a strip steal, ran down the other end, got fouled, hit his free throws. And then that was kind of the game from that point. So again, I just think a lot more engaged and opportunistic defensively as well. But like offensively, I've loved his balance of aggression, but also, again, like to use that word, opportunistic offense. He's averaging 21.5 points a game. I think that's 5th in scoring in Summer League overall right now. Of all players to be averaging 20 or more points in Summer League, he's the only one that's taking 10 or fewer shots. Like all of them are taking many more field goal attempts than him. He is playing within the offense. I don't think when AJ Lawson is out there shooting, the rest of the team or other like coaches are being like, he's just chucking it, he's taking advantage of the opportunity. I think he's very much played within the offense. I think he's been opportunistic in transition. And I think it just speaks to a guy like AJ Lawson, like you said, Coty. It's like he should be doing this, and he very much is. He's been effective, and to his credit, I think he deserves some NBA love in this coming. We're just gonna have to see if it's with the Raptors or a different team, because with Toronto, it does get hard to see like where he fits in on the roster, right?
Yeah. So I mean, he was listed at 185 on the summer league roster, and ESPN had him at 179 for last season. So I guess to your point, like he's been put up, put some weight on there, but it's like he's the second lightest guy on the team. Like Chucky Hepburn weighs more than him. Like Jamal Shed weighs almost 15 pounds more than him. I would still love him to fill out more, and I think once he does that, like he had a lot of trouble finishing at the rim in the half court with the 9-to-5 last season. Let me pull it up. So I think when he puts on more weight, like that's the biggest thing for me with him is if he could do that, it'll help him finish better at the rim. 42% at the rim in the half court, which is less than ideal. 45 for 107 of the games I tracked. I'm missing a couple in there, but like I think it's pretty good representation. But yeah, and then obviously it'll help him defensively. So as long as he can do that and not lose his quickness, he fits pretty well with the team. Like he can shoot the three. In transition, he's a monster. Like over 70% in transition with the 9-to-5 last year, which is ridiculous. And if he continues to shoot it, which he didn't shoot it that well previously before coming into the Raptors 9-to-5 last year, if he continues to do that, we'll see. It's just, can he be more of a role player? You know what I mean? Like, can he, create offense when things aren't run for him? And so far, he's doing that. So, hey, we'll see. We'll see. What have you thought about Jonathan Mogbo?
I am glad you brought him up because I've thought a lot of positive about Jonathan Mogbo. When I brought this up and I said I wanted to focus on the second year guys, like coming into Summer League, my hope is like I wanted to see them be dominant as a unit and individually. And I think honestly, out of the crop of Shed, Walter, Mogbo, and Battle, Mogbo is the one that's impressed me the most, or the most that I think has really stood out. And I think with him, he's just looked markedly more intentional offensively. I think defensively, like Mogbo is as advertised, right? Like again, he's very switchable, very disruptive. I think if you were comparing him to CMB is probably a bit better in terms of hand fighting and creating turnovers and stuff that way. But Mogbo is just generally just very solid defensively. He's a good backside, like weak side rotation defender. Like he'll help you in all those regards, and I think he has a lot to offer there. Defensively, as advertised for the most part, in my opinion. It's just offensively, I think there's just been a lot more intentionality to his game. He's third on the Raptors Summer League roster in scoring. I don't think anyone would have guessed that coming into Summer League. God knows I didn't. 5.5 rebounds, 2 steals. He's averaging a plus 16, and he's playing around 23 minutes a game, right? So this guy isn't really like eating out there in a ton of minutes. But this is also a guy that you saw put up a triple-double in an NBA game last year. I don't care about the context. That's still impressive. So there's so much juice to what Jonathan Mogbo can do, but it was a lot about like offensively, can he be more comfortable around the basket? What context are they going to put him in? I talked about this a ton. Like, are they going to continue to wingify Jonathan Mogbo? Are they going to try to find ways to help him succeed as a small ball center? And so far, it's been more of the center stuff, right? Like, he has been the 5-man. He's been in the short role a bit. Like, I'm not going to go as far as to say it's like I've come out with this and seeing that his touch around the rim has improved drastically. I truly don't think it has, at least that we've seen. Like, he's still dunking mostly everything. Is that going to work against NBA guys outside of Summer League? I'm not sure. But he's had some like more tougher, like just like softer finishes. And the biggest thing is like a lot more north-south in the short roll, a lot more intentional about getting to the basket. There has been some moments where he still hasn't like dealt with contact maybe the best, but I think that's like far and few between so far. Even James Wade has said he's just a lot more aggressive. And I know you and me talked to Drew Jones about Jonathan Mogbo, and that was the biggest thing, right? Just aggressive. I used the phrase the inner monster. That's what Drew Jones said about him in my video that I did on Jonathan Mogbo. So, like, if you can get that consistently, you can see how the production just happens naturally, right? This is a guy, like, you look at the box score and the numbers he's putting up, but then, like, you're not going to think about any specific highlight-worthy plays, but he's still going to be productive and he's still going out there. And for me, just the fact that I come out of Summer League, or at least two games, being like, wow, I think CMB and Mogbo are really going to be battling each other for minutes, whether it's at the reserve 4, whether it's the backup small ball 5 stuff. Coming into Summer League, I did not think that was going to be the case at all. I was like, CMB is going to be that guy because of how much upside he has offensively. Mogbo is really going to have to fight to kind of figure out his role here and his situation moving forward. But the fact that after these first 2 games, I think there's much more competition there, healthy competition that is, I think is a massive win for Jonathan Mogbo, and I've been so impressed by him.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it out. I was like, just throw it up, and Jonathan Mogbo is gonna slam it down with an alley oop. Like, that's that's a lot of. I mean, to me, at least in game, I think it was game one. Or, I can't remember which game it was, but that was like the majority of his offense. Like he was just cutting, and then, or he was getting out of transition, and he was just grabbing everything and throwing it down. Like that's just an easy. It's an easy baseline of points for him.
Yeah,
Is to just cut and then do stuff like that and catch lobs. And it's, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to do that. Is I think we wanted with the 905 last season, we just wanted to, he wasn't assertive. He didn't
yeah,
really want to go to try and, get his own bucket. Now, whether that's just a lack of aggressiveness or lack of talent, probably a little bit of both. But we'll see where it develops. But yeah, like you mentioned, like 31st overall pick, ninth overall pick. And it's a conversation right now because especially after Colin Murray-Boyles' debut, which was like ups and downs.
yeah.
I mean, what did you think of CMB? Because I I think he started off pretty shaky in his debut, but then he had that sequence where he had that big pin block, and then goes back down and the putback slam. Like that was really really intriguing, really impressive. I think he finished. Let me pull it up. Finished with 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block. Like he was pretty much all over the place, and he was the only starter to not be have a negative plus minus. So. Um, Lots of good things there. What did you think?
Yeah, CMB's debut was again. I think it's you leave it satisfied. I think is the way I want to describe it. It's like you don't leave that debut being like, wow, look at this, like home run. But also you leave it getting generally what was advertised. I think defensively that popped more than anything. Even when he was a bit rusty to start. Michael Grange had a piece on CMB and talked about just like how much he's gone through to get to this point. And again, a 2-year player at South Carolina, dealt with some stuff over there in different team contexts, and then obviously missing his debut with the Raptor Summer League team with an adductor strain. So him getting out there being a little rusty wasn't necessarily surprising. You could also maybe contribute some of that to nerves or what have you. He started 1 of 3 from the floor, finished 3 of 5, so he did kind of get into more of a groove, and that's more
Yeah,
positive than anything, right? Like he found easy offense, but even when the offense wasn't there, what you want to see from young players is can you still be a positive contributor? And with him, like I said before, the hand fighting so disruptive with his hands. He does stuff when he's in your face defensively that you just don't see a lot of players get to do. Just how he can just vacuum up the basketball, tip it, deflect it, whatever you want to call it. He can create opportunities that way. I think that is going to be very impressive for him as a rookie. That's going to be very important. So I think that is what I leave with more than anything. Offensively, you do want to see if he can start doing some of those other things, but like that's going, in my opinion, going 0 to 100. Like you don't need to get everything all at once, right? Like it'll come
yeah,
with time, especially when you have all these other talented players on the summer league roster and they have so much to offer. And again, a guy like Jonathan Mogbo, I think, has been so impressive doing similar things. Like he's going to take some of that opportunity. I'm interested to see the two of them, how much they play together moving forward. That game against the Magic, CMB and Mogbo were both on the floor to close that game together. I think that's interesting. A very versatile defensive look as your back end. I think that allows your your backcourt players to be more aggressive at the point of attack because you have those two guys behind you. So I think that'll be very interesting to see what chemistry they can build together. But overall, with CMB's debut, largely positive. You do kind of want to see what he has once the nerves are gone.
yeah. And you brought it up with Mobo, and it's even the same thing with me with CMB. Like, what's the plan? Like, I get you don't have to put him into a box, and he's not the type of player to be put into a box. But like is it going to be more like along the wing stuff? Like, is it going to be, small ball five? Like, where? Not to, yeah, like I said, not to put him in a box, but where is he going to be best succeeding? I don't know. I'm assuming the
Big
Raptors have
question
a
mark.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of a, I would say a little bit of a guy you would want to have a plan for coming into the season, but he's just so. I mean, that's just what is like with these versatile guys who might be undersized and all that. It's like, do you look at the versatility and stuff as a positive, or do you look at the as like a negative? You know what I mean? But yeah, overall, it's fine with CMB. Um, Shamshay, Shamshay.
Yes.
I guess let's get into him because a lot of people have liked what he's done. A lot of people
Yeah.
have liked what he's done, and I agree. I mean, he had that one play which everybody's already talked about. Like it caught me off guard because he wasn't on the screen. He was in the corner, And then it was, I don't know if it was like a pick and roll or whatever, and then the roll man got hit and went up for a dunk, or it was something like that, whatever. Somebody was going up for a dunk, and he just covered all that ground and got over and hit him with the block. It was ruled a foul. They challenged it. It wasn't. I
Yeah.
tweeted, I was like, that looks pretty clean to me.
Yeah.
Uh, um, honestly, for me, it was real. It was nice to see him back on the court after suffering that injury. Back in mid-February, he's been out for what? February, March, April, May, June. That's like 6 months he hasn't played
Yeah.
basketball. And the biggest thing for me was, can this guy still move around nicely? Like, because that was one thing I personally noticed with the 905, and something I highlighted was his movement is really something special for his size. Plus, he's been able to switch out and do all of that, and it's looked good to me so far. And then he's even been showing a little touch offensively. So, what do you think of our boy Ulrich?
Yeah, I'm so happy that like we get like when Ulrich is healthy, especially these summer league contexts, is like you get to see him more. And then there's guys like you and me who watched this guy in the 905 being like, look, this is what we've been talking about. This is why we've been so excited with
Yeah,
Ulrich. So it's awesome to see him out there and healthy beyond anything else. Again, the guy went through a partial MCL tear. By all accounts, there's been no minutes restriction or anything like that. He's been moving as well as you kind of would want to see him coming off of that. I've been largely impressed by him for a couple of reasons. Again, defensively, I keep using this phrase, but as advertised, he's a special defender. He can do. He was near the tops of the league in the G League on blocks last season. It's such a fun game. Just look through his block highlights and pause it before he actually gets it into the play, and you're like, how much ground did this guy cover? Like he always comes in from out of frame. It's actually fun to watch every time it happens, so that's awesome. But like I think the things that he improved defensively, it's just like different types of coverages, right? Like in drop, the thing that I saw from him, like one, he was very comfortable getting into it. He did it immediately. And the biggest thing was he is communicating when he's going into drop coverage. He's talking to guys about where he wants to be, what he wants to do. He's been able to get steals out of that. He's been able to confuse some players with it. When he is stepping up at the level, he's so disruptive with his hands. He's taking advantage of the guys he's defending against. And I think that kind of speaks to the next thing I want to talk about with Ulrich Shamshe. Like I very much put him into the category of being a student of the game. The way like we rarely hear him talk, but when we have in the few moments, you get so much from him that you can see he's thinking through this thing so thoughtfully. You mentioned it before. Drew Jones said this guy is a sponge. He soaks up information, but he also squeezes it right back out immediately because he's constantly about it. When people were able to talk to him at Summer League, he talked about the biggest thing he's taking away is like the angles he sets on screens because he wants players to go over so he can create a 2-on-1 with his point guard. Like he's just constantly thinking about these things. You see on the defensive end, and like you said, offensively, there's been improvement there as well. We saw him do this in pockets last year. He's pretty good as a high post elbow passer. He'll randomly take a baseline jumper. You know what I mean? Like that stuff is surprising, but like you have seen it in moments, especially if you're watching 905 games. But like seeing it a bit more consistently, a bit more intentionally, like I said it, where it was like he's not letting himself always be an afterthought on offense during the summer league stints, which is nice because a bit of that did happen as a rookie, and that speaks to his confidence overall. But like my big thing on offense was like, can you be more effective as a screener? And when he's talking about pinning his man, that for me, that's enough. Like you're creating opportunities for your teammates that way. So overall, like generally very impressed with Shamshe. I hazard people to be like, he's ready for the NBA now. Like I wouldn't go that far. Like I still think there's some time to develop there and there's no reason to rush him. But like things you wanted to see from him in terms of improvement coming into Summer League, I think generally we have.
Yeah, I almost feel like protective, man. It's like, if you were watching him every game, man, like you see the flashes of passing. He showed the passing flashes before he was even with the 905, before he even got drafted. You'll see the switchability and the movement, and then it's like now everybody's like, oh, "Welcome to the party." It's like, follow us. We would have, you would have already known this.
You would have known this. You hand tracked so much of his defensive stats and offensive stats last year. Again, like that video you had, I'm just replugging it for you because it's incredible in terms of all the inside information you got from his first pro season with the 905. And like again, like this is a lot of this is not new information. He's been doing this. Now it's just like, can he continue to do it at a higher level?
Yeah, a part 2 might be coming to that soon. So keep a lookout. Keep a lookout. Maybe a more in depth. But yeah, I just to wrap it up on Ulrich, I want to say the quote that Drew said about him last year. He just picks things up very, very quickly. That's what I've been probably most pleased with him. I think the toughest or most underrated NBA skill is taking something directly from film or the practice court and then getting it into the game real time. So I mean, He's been impressive. I think for last season, like I think it was an impressive season and like a check mark season. Like
Yeah.
this is good. Like it's not a disaster. Like you, what was shown before the draft, you have done. So just about continuing to build and finding more consistency, which based on what he's saying, seems good. Is there anybody else you want to talk about? I guess we haven't talked about Jamal Shead, Jameson Battle. Uh, I feel like for me with those two specifically, it's been a lot of the same things that we saw last year with the Raptors. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if I've really seen, not like not seeing development is a bad thing or anything, but like they were really impactful as rookies last season, and I think I've seen really the same thing come to what I've come to expect from them.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat where it's like you haven't really seen something where like, wow, that's new with them. But again, not necessarily a bad thing. I think with Jamal, the biggest thing has been again being vocal as a leader, right? Being holding other players accountable. Like he's called out a guy like Colin Castleton or some other players here and there for
Yeah,
defensive miscues, and I think that's important for your backup point guard. You need to be a disciplined player. You need to be mistake free. I think with Jamal, I would like to see a bit more disruption at the point of attack. I think Jamal is actually very underrated as an off ball defender. I think that's where he gets a lot of his turnovers and steals. Quite honestly,
he had
he
a really
times,
good dig in the first game, like a
yeah.
fantastic dig, and I was like, oh my goodness, yes,
Yeah, and he'll just have these moments where he'll just like sneak in basically like a free safety almost and just intercept passes. Like he has those moments quite often. And then with Jameson, it's again like you know what your NBA level skill is. You don't your biggest thing is like, can you not be a hole defensively? Can you not be a target? I think so far he's done a decent enough job at that. It's just like how much is that going to help you in the NBA context outside of your 3-point shooting? So with them, it's like it's mostly as advertised. You get what you get. You see those little internal developments. What's going to happen? I think that pretty much covers it though in terms of players I want to talk about. I think Elijah Martin, there's some interesting stuff there. I tweeted about this. I think we all talked about it. How he's just like a winning player. He wins his
yeah.
minutes. He's second in summer league right now in terms of average plus minus. Overall in total, he's a plus 50. Obviously, that Bulls game helped quite a bit with that. But even in the Raptors 3-point win against the Magic, he was still a plus 14, generally positive, and that was all while not having a good offensive night. He only had 2 points. He was 1 of 7 from the floor. So I think Elijah's been impactful. It's like you said, Cody, like, is he going to be able to show something where he's able to usurp a use on the NBA rotation? Don't necessarily know that, but at the very least, he's going to make camp very tough for these guys. He's going to be a very impact player in the locker room, and I think that's also equally important for a young player.
Yeah, I guess just because we touched on everybody else except Chucky Hepburn and Colin Castleton, that's
Yeah.
I'll give them
You're
a
you're a
little
big Colin Castleton guy, and I know you tweeted about this too. Not defending him, but like because he has gotten a bit of flack, and you talked about how like because
yeah.
you saw his 905 debut, and you talked about how impressed you were with it. So like, give people not to sell on Colin, but like why you still have faith in his game. Because again, there are some people who
Yeah.
because Colin has started some games, he's been getting some quality minutes, and maybe people aren't seeing what his potential is. So give them the re-information on Colin Castleton.
I'm not gonna lie, people are it's starting to weigh on me, man. Like my faith is starting to dwindle. It's the
Oh
light is
yeah.
starting to I mean, he has not been very effective this summer. Just
Yes.
unfortunately. I will say the best thing he has done this summer is isolation defense against Matas Buzelis in game one. He was fantastic. Go watch it. Like
Yeah.
he shut him down every time he was matched up with him. Matas had a pretty good game, but when Castleton was guarding him, I don't even know if Matas scored, and it was like 5 or 6 possessions of him doing really well. Here's the pitch for Colin. Like I don't know why I've become this or why everyone is just so quick to disregard his game. I mean, one, the Raptors need a big, and he is somebody who fits what they want to do. Like he has enough offensive skill to have things run through him. He can put the ball on the floor, and he can pass it. So that's the sell offensively. Obviously, the 3-point shot is still coming around. It's not. I mean, that's if he could shoot it, he'd be a totally different player. It's not quite there, and it's a work in progress. I get it; he's a bit older, but I mean, he has good length, 7'4" wingspan at 6'11". That's pretty good. He's a bit like I would say thinner, so like he gets pushed around a lot. I don't know. I still hold out hope because I think he brings enough length defensively and enough skill offensively to like make something work. But maybe it's just a classic like some of that like 4A. Is that what it is? Like it's like the MLB term, like the 4A, 4A, quadruple A. He's a quadruple A player where
The AAA player?
it's a term for like you're too good for the AAA, but you're like maybe not good
Oh
enough for the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
majors.
yeah. Okay,
Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like he's too good for the G League. Like he dominates the
yeah.
G League. Like he's way too good for the G League. It's just does his game translate to an NBA level? Because I think he has to have the ball in his hands a little bit offensively. Like you've seen, he's done basically nothing on offense uh, for the Raptors this summer, and he's struggled to me to play the up and down style that Toronto wants. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he gets up and down the court very well. Even though I think he generally moves his feet well defensively while sliding.
Yeah. He's not
Again, like
ground bound, but he's not a super athlete, right?
yeah, I think it's enough to pass by. It's just yeah, like I think he's struggling offensively when he doesn't have the ball in his hands and he's able to be that post up sort of things, which is why I initially liked him because Toronto likes that out of their bigs, but
Yeah.
the light is dwindling on Colin Castleton. And then just for Chucky, I thought he had a rough first game. I didn't think he impacted the game very much. I think he had a way better second game. You can see the poise he plays with, and just how physical he could be at the point of attack as well. If the shot comes around for him, I like the form. I like the shots he takes.
He had
Just
a
doesn't
clutch
seem to be.
three against the Magic, like a really big three towards the end of that game.
He did, and I think if that comes around, I mean, he's somebody we're gonna be able to watch all year with the 905. Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be the 905's guy. So I'm
That's
excited
exciting.
to I'm excited to watch more of him and see what he can do. I'm assuming we'll both have content coming, or the way of him. But yeah, it's again, we're talking about like these two. We're still talking about these two who I think could still have solid NBA careers, man. And these are like the ninth and 10th guys. So what a team! What a team this is.
Yeah. Up and down the roster, I think the simplest way to put it is they're dogs. Like these guys are all dogs. They're all fighting their butts off. They're all holding each other accountable, and they're all there for a very common purpose that's very clear, and they're all playing with the same mindset. I think that's the very important thing here, and
I
that
think they
goes
win.
back.
I think
You
they
think
win
you
it.
think they win it all? You're putting it out
Yeah,
there?
they're the favorites. I think they win it.
Yeah. Well, the way they played through these first two games, and like you said, Cody, like the next two games they play aren't against a winning summer league team so far. I think if they keep all these guys out there and like knock on wood, barring any injuries, like I don't see why they don't have the roster to win this whole thing.
And I don't see why they would shut anybody down. Like you're not
Yeah,
going
they're
to
all
shut
so
Colin
young.
Murray-Boyles down.
Yeah.
I mean, for the sophomores, like no one's really like what. Okay, maybe you shut down AJ Lawson, sure, but like I don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't see a reason to shut down literally anybody on the team. So yeah,
Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna come down to these next couple of games and see how they kind of continue to assert their dominance. I'm curious to see again, like the Magic were a much I guess, more sound team than the Bulls were. So it's not like you had two huge blowouts. You had one insane, massive blowout and one very close game. And that skews the numbers a little bit, right? So it's hard to get a read on the team necessarily. So I think this game against the Nuggets, that again, this is going to come after that game has happened. Hopefully that'll be a bit more telling of what this team can do. The Nuggets they don't have like a ton of very interesting players, but like Deron Holmes is on that roster. He's
yeah.
again, he didn't
Hunter
get to play much last
Tyson.
year. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm not. They haven't won a game. Like I'm not too
yeah,
worried, but
I'm not
I
worried
mean,
about that.
famous
Yeah.
last words. But I
Yeah.
mean, just the amount of ball pressure these guys are putting on teams, like, and the amount of continuity they have, like, that's what I
Yeah.
love about coming into them. Like, these have all played together. Like, they literally have all played together.
Playing
So,
against this team has to suck so bad. Imagine you're trying to make a name for yourself in the NBA or in the G League circles, and you have to take
yeah,
on this Raptors team that's just beating
yeah.
you up constantly. That must
And then
suck.
yeah, and then you got Jabal Shed on you, and then you switch on to Elijah, and then you switch on to Colin Murray-Boyles, and you switch on
Yeah.
to Mogbo, and then you switch on to Hepburn, and it's
Yeah.
like,
You think
holy
you
man,
won the matchup because you got a
relax,
big on you,
relax.
and then
Yeah.
it's Mobo and CMB. Like you must
And
hate
then
your life at this point.
you you get somebody, and then Shamshay swats it into the second row.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's been really fun to watch, like we said at the top. But I mean, we'll see how much it translates into the NBA setting. Because hey, Brandon Ingram thinks the Raptors are going to make the playoffs, and I agree. I agree.
You do? Okay, what a segue, because that was the last thing we were going to touch on before we got out of here, Cody. Like you said, Brandon Ingram with a very interesting quote there, but just to set it up a little bit, he spoke to media late last week, Brandon Ingram did, and the biggest note was that he is fully cleared for contact. So for people who were thinking about his ankle injury and how serious it was and whatnot, he just got fully cleared for contact a week ago. So clearly it was something he was dealing with for quite some time. He said it was an injury unlike any he's had before, so something was going on there. But Darko even said it, that Brandon Ingram's pain-free, he's moving well. According to Darko, he's even gotten stronger. And it's very clear that Brandon Ingram is excited to get back onto the court, but he's also very confident about the Toronto Raptors. Like you said, Cody, to quote Brandon Ingram, he said, "We're making the playoffs for sure." And then he added, "I think we're building championship habits." So I'll throw it back to you. Why do you think Brandon Ingram is right that this Raptors team will make the playoffs?
Because they're talented. Like, I mean, I know that's an easy answer, but like, I think they legitimately have the talent. Like, as long as they stay healthy, which at this point, unfortunately, is a big ask. But
Yeah.
if they stay healthy, and to be fair, a lot of things have to go their way. I think. I mean, I saw their line is like 35 wins. To me, that is.
Oh, dude, I saw
low.
it even lower. I saw it 32.5, and I'm like, that's insane. This team
That-
wasn't trying to win, and they won 31 games. Or was it 32? They won 32 games, I think, right? Like,
yeah.
so if that team's not trying, a team that is trying to win in this Eastern Conference, they're blowing the over for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were. Yeah, no, the Raptors were 30-52 last year. It's, I mean, they're in the glut of those, the teams that are not. I think Cleveland and New York should probably run through this conference, at least regular season wise. They both have their issues in the playoffs, but I mean, those two teams seem to have the most talent right now and the most continuity. But then it's like the wild card factors. Like, what is Boston and Indiana going to look like? I think Boston's toast for this year specifically. Like, maybe they're in the play-in just because Jaylen Brown and Derek White is enough to kind of get you there.
They're gonna
But
suck defensively. I'll say that. You have Nemish Queta as your starting center, maybe, or Luka Garza, whoever else they're there. Anthony Simons is starting in your backcourt now too. Like, yeesh.
it's like they're a complete mess. The Pacers without Halliburton, I think, is still a good team.
Without Miles Turner too, don't forget that 2 starters now.
Oh, true. Yeah, so, like again, that just helps the Raptors' case. Like, there's so much. I mean, if you still want to say, okay, Cleveland's better, New York's better, Detroit's better, Atlanta's better, Orlando's better, okay, that's 5. And then it's like, I don't know if Indiana's better. I don't know if Boston's better. I don't know if Philly is going to be better. You know what I mean? Then it's all these teams with injury questions, and I think Toronto's in that mix. It would be a disappointment to me if they don't make the playoffs. I don't know about you, but like, maybe not a top 6 seed, but if they're not a top 10 team for a play-in spot, you know what I mean? Like, if they can't even make the play-in, then something's gone bad, or they got hurt.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a factor for sure. I think there's 2 things here. What the goal should be and what the expectation should be don't necessarily have to be the exact same thing. I think the expectation in my mind is at minimum a postseason appearance, which includes the play-in. At minimum, you should be a top 10 team in the Eastern Conference. No questions asked, especially with how much you're spending on the top end of this roster.
Yeah.
That should be like the floor, in my opinion. The goal should absolutely to be a top 6 team. Like you said, Cody, you laid it out. There's question marks for many of these teams. Even the New York Knicks, you're bringing in a new coach. You've seen the flawed, I don't want to say weaknesses, but the Jalen Brunson cat pairing, how you can take advantage of that. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they're awesome. I think they're the favorites, obviously, to come out of the East. They haven't made it out of the second round with this group yet. So they have to figure it out in the playoffs and what they're going to do. The Detroit Pistons, I'm a bit down on them. I'm a bit lower on their offseason. They kind of just have to make up for some of the losses. They brought in Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson, but they don't know what the hell's happening with Malik Beasley. They lost Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. So I don't think they necessarily upgraded, right? And I would go as far as to say I think the Raptors match up well against this Pistons team. They might even be better, in my opinion. Like in some cases, I think there's an argument there that you can have between them. And then you already laid out all the other teams and why there's question marks for them. So I think if you're Brandon Ingram, this Raptors team, hell yeah, you should be thinking this way. You should be thinking you can be a playoff team. You can be competitive in this Eastern Conference. Every team in the East should be thinking like that. And a lot of them, quite honestly, are. They're building that way. Talked about the Atlanta Hawks, the moves they've made to build that way. The Orlando Magic, how they've moved aggressively to fix their problems to build that way. And I think the Raptors very much are in that boat right now as well, where they've made their moves earlier than maybe some of these other teams, but they now see the East is wide open, and they're like, well, we can be competitive. We can get back into the playoff picture. And your players, this is exactly what you want to hear for them. So again, the goal should be that. The expectation, maybe I'm a bit like lower than some people. Maybe I'm being a bit more pragmatic, if you want to call it. I think the floor has to be at least the play-in, but then the ceiling is just like get a top 6 seed, get an automatic playoff berth, and play basketball and go from there.
I think that's fair. I would expect them to be in the playoffs, but I guess if you're in the play-in tournament, like then it's just like 1 or 2 losses and then you're just done. So I guess that's fair enough, but I think it's I think it's a failure if you're not in the playoffs and if like everybody's healthy and all that. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
To me, I think you would view that as a failure. God, it would just be.
The plan isn't like built equally either, right? Like you can be a 7th seed and then the 6th seed won a game and a half more than you, right? And then you're still in the play-in, and then who knows what happens. But again, you could very easily be the 7th seed, win your game, get into the playoffs, and then like there's no harm done, right? Like it's going to come down to the margins. The East is always a bit of a slog towards those back end of the standings, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm with you that like for this team and how they've invested in it and all the conversations that have been had and how they've been moving in terms of the moves they're making, like that for them internally, the expectation should to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, hey, regardless of what to do, it's going to be fun to watch. I just hope everyone's healthy and we can actually see solid minutes and continuity build with this team, because it's almost like, I mean, that's the other thing, I guess, if you're like lower on the Raptors is, okay, well, these guys have been so in and out of the lineup, and now you're throwing Brandon Ingram into this mix where the original mix hasn't even been mixing, you know what I mean? So now you're throwing another ingredient in, but you don't know what the pot already tastes like. So we'll see. Brandon, I'm so excited to watch Brandon Ingram, man. Like it's going to be so fun to watch him. But
yeah, he's been Brandon. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but Brandon Ingram, the way he's talking too, it's not even just like, oh, you know, I'm excited to be back on the court. Like he is putting a lot of responsibility on himself, like personally. Like in that conversation he had, he basically said like, I'm excited to be back to show a little bit more. And the phrase that he used was like to be a focal point of the offense. He very much is self-aware of the fact that the Raptors need him offensively. They need what he can do in terms of a self-creator, in terms of pull-up shooting, in terms of working through the middle as a pick-and-roll ball handler. And the fact that he's excited for that, not to just be a cog in the engine, but to be one of the focal points, I think is exciting, and it's exactly what the Raptors wanted from him. So for the fact that he's saying it vocally, he's aware of it, the team's aware of it, I think they're all attacking this rebuild, retool, whatever the hell you want to call it, like with a very honest mindset where it's like, I know this is what I have to offer. For the guys in the margins, it's like, well, we know we have to offer everything defensively first, and then we'll figure the rest out. Again, for Scotty, how he kind of puts it all together. So again, the overall thing, I'm just excited because these guys are understanding like this is the role I have to play here. And if they're all, like to your point, if they're all healthy and they're all doing their job, being advertised, well, then you do have a very talented roster here that can make some noise.
It's just a lot of ifs, right? So
yeah.
We'll see, but I'm excited. I mean, you could literally go to every player on the roster and like it's like what is like maybe outside of Jakob Poeltl. Like I think we all know what Jakob Poeltl is and what he's gonna bring and how important he is. But like for literally everybody else, it's like okay, IQ. Like, are we gonna start living up to this contract? Like, are we gonna stay healthy? RJ, I mean, there's a lot of conversations going around RJ right now. Obviously, BI we just touched on. You mentioned Scotty. Is there another jump there offensively? And then, of course, all the bench players we've been talking about and the next step in their game. So it's going to be a fun season. Should be a more fun season than last year. Excited to watch it all. And I'm excited to continue watching Summer League.
Yeah, again, 2 more games left for the Raptors Summer League team. Again, obviously, unless they advance, it does appear likely they'll advance. They're unbeaten 2-0. By the time this video comes out, they'll have already played the Denver Nuggets. Hopefully another win to make them 3-0. We'll wait and see for that. But that will pretty much wrap it up here for us covering Summer League, covering Brandon Ingram and everything in between. Obviously, in the meantime, there will be more opinions, analysis, and news on RaptorsRepublic.com covering it all. We'll also obviously have more deep dives and thoughts on individual players as the season gets closer, as the season goes on. I think that's going to be an exciting part of all of this as well. But in the meantime, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Run It Back. Make sure you subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube channel. Keep growing with us. And also leave a like on this video and comment down below. What have you made of the Summer League Raptors so far? Who have you been most excited to watch? And are you with Coty and Brandon Ingram? It's playoffs or bust for this team. Let us know your thoughts below. But in the meantime, for myself, for Coty, and for Kyle, have a good week. Peace.